Okay.
I had to control myself.
I'm on to that one with Orlando. Did you know it's going, it's 90% chance it's a storm, it's 90% chance of storm every day.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it's just, you can't predict that out, I guess.
Yeah. So I told her, well, she has 91 degrees here. She's, yeah, it's always 91 degrees. It's always 90% chance of storm. I said, even when there's no chance, it's happening.
The rip tide though, that kind of scared me, because I could see the boys going out there and just, you know.
With the lightning, it's time for lightning.
Yeah, see, you gotta know about that.
Started this an hour ago now.
I tried to run a copy of the agenda and I couldn't.
Oh, you got one here.
Yeah, I got
Oh, you
one.
got,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
say you
got
want the
one.
desk too, yeah.
But I did get the minutes. I didn't know we talked that much the last meeting.
know.
So-
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, you
This
have,
one's
you
got a
do
great
Rachel.
fun.
What? I think you did most of the talking.
Yeah. You do
It wasn't
really,
an official.
She
really,
has a lot of good things to say.
really good minutes, by the way.
Yes.
Very complete.
Cut them out. Cut some out. Thank you.
It is nice to have nice meeting minutes, because when we have to go back and dig and figure out like what the context of a discussion was, sometimes it's really hard with some of our old meeting minutes.
And probably as many meetings as you have to go to, it's kind of all jumbled together, don't they?
Definitely. Well, I've got Adrian and Carrie Dodd are on the Zoom. We've got Shanna. So we can get started. You didn't hear anything out of Taylor, did you?
I did.
No? Okay.
And so move on.
Who is, do we have a VP right now?
We didn't elect officers. Who was VP last year?
I think it was Christy Kelly.
Yeah, you're right, yeah, I think it was.
Okay. Well, I'll get things started since we don't have a president. Let me get to the meeting agenda real quick. Okay, I just wanna make sure everyone online can hear us. So Adrian and Carrie and Shanna, can you guys all hear us over here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent.
I can hear you.
All right.
Yep, I can hear you now.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Yep.
so since we don't have a president here, I'll just call us to order. So we'll do a roll call, quorum, or a roll call, on our attendance. So Julia Avey.
Here.
Carrie Dodd.
Here.
Jeanette Isbell.
Here.
Adrian, I can't say your last name.
I'm here.
Can you say your last name?
Zelma.
Zelma. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the D is silent.
Not silent, all right. Carol Hannah. Here. Excellent. And we're missing Taylor and Linda Kasser. Oath of office. So we do have two new members, Carol Hannah and we have Julia Avey. So Shanna, do you want to walk us through the oath of office? And I don't know if you read the oath of office and they have to repeat it back, and then we do signatures on a form too.
I was like, yeah, I don't know either, but I can do that. I can have them repeat.
Okay, sounds good.
I was like,
So-
you want me to start my video? I'm just, hey. Yeah, hang on, let me pull it up really fast.
Okay. And do the oath of offices have to be notarized too?
They do, so I was gonna say, we'll get that coordinated,
Okay.
yeah, with Dawn.
Okay.
We've been in a course this week, so I'll get with her and we'll find a good time that works for her and you all, and then just a little quick signature, so.
Okay, but we'll do like the verbal thing tonight and then we'll coordinate with you later.
Okay, I'm ready whenever everyone else is.
Okay, do they have to stand and put their hand over their heart or anything special?
I don't think anything special needs to happen, but I also don't know. If they want to, they can.
Okay, we'll have them do it together, so they'll
Okay.
just read them off.
Okay, so just repeat after me. I, the undersigned,
Say your name, Carol Hannah.
Julia.
I, Carrie Dodd,
okay, do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County and the town of Pendleton, Indiana,
as well as the ordinances of Madison County and the town of Pendleton, Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Committee
discharge the duties of the Urban Forestry Committee
of the town of Pendleton
of the town of Pendleton,
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
I think that's all.
All right, you guys are officially official now.
Congratulations.
Okay, we'll go into an election of officers now, but first let me just kind of summarize. I think everyone basically knows what the Urban Forestry Committee does, but just in case, you know, this board and commission, or this commission is responsible for any of the public trees in the town of Pendleton. So that includes street trees, trees that are possibly in the park or in the cemetery. We've done a variety of different projects over the years, and the projects are usually driven by the board or by staff. So it really just kind of depends. There's not, the one thing that you guys have to do, I guess, is we have a tree care manual, and the tree care manual is something that we try to keep updated. And the last update, I believe, was 2018, so it's fairly fresh. I don't think we need to do an update anytime soon. I think anything that would if we would want to do a change, it would probably be because of an invasive species, like, or a pest that comes up where we don't want a certain tree planted anymore. But really, I think it's in good shape still that, you know, we don't need to do an update. We do have to elect a chairperson, a vice chair, and a secretary. So of course, sometimes we call the chair people president and vice president. In the past, Taylor Metz has been president. Last year, Christy Kelly was vice president, and then I think Linda Castor usually gets elected as secretary, just kind of as a joke, because she's usually gone this time of year in Florida. So anyway, not that we have to do the same thing, but just this is I would say, a more fun board, a little bit more lighthearted, and not as in the weeds sometimes as we get with our other boards and commissions. So usually when we come to tree board meetings, it's a little happier. It's always happy, I think. I don't think we've had a bad tree board meeting yet, like our contentious one. Like, it's usually very, which is really great, Carol, because we've been part of some really scary ones. And we know how intense some of these meetings can get. So anyway, I guess I will open up the floor for nominations for a.
Well, could we ask if anyone would be interested in any of the positions?
Yes, would anyone be interested?
Wouldn't that be nice
If you want to volunteer
Wanna
yourself?
volunteer?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
No.
if Taylor is still able to, I know he's busy and everything, but I'd love to see him be chairman again this year. He has such a great knowledge, and background in this area and comes up with such great ideas that I would like to nominate him for chairman again this year.
All right, so can you formally make the motion, please?
I formally make a motion to nominate Taylor Metz as chairman of the Urban Forestry.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I'll do a roll call vote. So Julia Avey. Yay. Jeanette Isbell. Adrian Selmy.
Zelma, yeah.
Carol Nana.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations, Taylor. What did you get for not being?
Has anyone talked to him? I mean, is he still?
He is alive.
Shoot.
He is around, so we'll make sure we get in touch with him and let him know. And then if for some reason he's not able to participate this year, we'll come up with a plan B then. All right. Next, do we have any volunteers? And if no volunteers, do we have any motions for a vice chairperson?
I would volunteer
Very good. Well,
if anyone wants to.
I will nominate Carol Hannah
Okay.
to be the vice chairperson.
very good. So we have a motion. Can we have a second on the motion?
I will second that.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. So Julia Avey.
Yay.
Jeanette Isbell.
Yes.
Oh, Carrie Dodd, I missed you last time. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I seconded the motion on Taylor anyway, so
Okay, good.
of course, obviously I agreed with it. So yes,
Adrian Zelmy
Yay.
and Carol Hannah.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. Carol, do you want to take over the rest of the meeting? Running it
Well, sure, I will. So we have one more position as secretary, and I will ask for volunteers or nominations. Either one.
I can do it.
Right.
Woohoo! Yes.
Well, I make a nomination, or a motion that we nominate,
Julie.
Julie Olive
Very good.
And do we have a
for
second?
secretary.
For secretary. And do we have a second? Okay.
I'll second that notion.
Okay.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Julia Avey,
Yay.
Carrie Dodd,
yes.
Jeanette Isbell,
Yes.
Adrian Zelmy,
Yes.
Carol Hannah.
Yes.
Very good. Congratulations, Julia.
Okay, so we have one item of business done. All right, the next is the approval of the minutes of the previous meetings, and I think we still have, looks like we still have some October minutes that have not been approved. But I don't know if we have enough people here. Well, Jeanette, Carrie, and Adrian.
I would say let's go ahead and do it anyway, even though, again, this isn't a contentious board that meeting, so I think if we can just adopt them so we can get them off the, and there's two of them, so there's the October ones, and then if you go back into the Google Drive folder, there's a set from February. I was not on my game, and I did not update our meeting packet since we haven't had a meeting since January. But please take a look at both of the meeting minutes.
Oh, yeah,
If you
okay.
could.
We'll start with the October ones. We've got Jeanette and Carrie and Adrian that were in the meeting. If you wanna look at them quickly, and I'll ask for a motion to approve them when you're ready.
Can't even find him.
If you go to copy of presentation, I think that's what it's called in the file.
Yeah.
They are in that, there's, the October ones are there.
There's, whoop. No. We're doing October, right?
I didn't find it.
What month are we doing?
Go to March. to March of 2021.
We're under the folder. Is it under the agenda or is it like a whole document?
It's under the
It
presentation.
says copy of 2021 218
Oh,
presentation.
there we are.
I'm sorry, I made that confusing for you guys tonight.
Did you guys, oh, did you look at it up there?
And then when you guys are ready, you'll just need a motion.
You wanna make a motion?
Yes, if everybody's done reading them, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of March,
They would have been October 27th,
October,
I think.
yes, October 27th, 2020.
Then Carrie or Adrian, would you like to second?
Yeah, I'll second that. That's fine.
I'll second.
I'll do a roll call vote. Julie A.
Yes.
Carrie Dodd,
Yes.
Jeanette Isbell,
Yes.
Adrian Zelmi,
Yes.
Carol Hannah.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, so the next ones are the minutes from last month's meeting. And in the drive, it is in a separate, it's the February 18th meeting minutes. And hopefully everyone's had a chance to glance through those. Pretty extensive. We got a lot of good information about the committee and just the status of some of the activities. So if you want to, someone would like to make a motion to approve those minutes? Anyone who can speed read 6 pages?
Minutes are amazing though. Thank you, Denise.
I looked through them briefly, everything looked like what I recalled, so.
If everybody's finished, then I'll make a motion again to approve the minutes of, the February 18th, 2021 minutes.
Okay, second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Julie A.
Yes.
Carrie Dodd,
Yes.
Jeanette Isbell,
Yes.
Adrian Zelmi,
Yes.
Carol Hannah.
Yes. Okay, so now we're ready for our old business, is the 2020 Tree City USA application.
I got a letter this week that said our 2020 application had been approved. So we are, again, a Tree City USA for 5 years in a row now. We got it in 15, 16, 17, well, I guess 6 years in a row now, since we got it in 2020. And I'm just gonna go over a few things that I did go over in the last meeting, but we were missing a couple people, so I just wanna make sure everyone's up to date. Also, I guess I should kind of preface this with, I have accepted a new job, and this is gonna be my last urban forestry meeting. So I wanna make sure I'm communicating some things to you guys, make sure that there's that transition of information. I'm not quite sure who will be the staff member taking over the Urban Forestry Committee yet. Kayla is going to be stepping up as planning director, and she has posted the job application for her position. And so we'll be hiring a new staff member, which we anticipate that staff member stepping in to lead this. So I guess just be patient with us over the next couple months as we kind of work through this transition. She's gonna have a ton on her plate, and I did kind of tell her that, you know, out of all of our board of commissions, that urban forestry is one that, you know, if we need to take a month off added to our workflow. And then we, come back when they're ready to meet and keep progressing forward with urban forestry stuff. But, we're working really hard to she's going to be a little overwhelmed with the Unified Development Ordinance and getting that updated. And the meetings that we potentially have scheduled for the month of May, and is really gonna be a lot on her plate for evening meetings. So we'll keep you guys posted on if we're gonna have urban forestry meetings for the next 2 months or so, but it's not because it's not important, it's just there's gonna be a lot on one person's plate as staff right now. So hopefully we'll get a new hire in quickly so that there's really no downtime for this board, but I just wanna throw that out there so you guys just be patient with us.
Understood.
We'll miss you, Rachel, but congratulations on your new position.
I am gonna miss you guys too. It was not an easy decision to make. It's one that I've been thinking about for quite a while now, and just timing wise and career wise, it just seemed like an opportunity that I shouldn't let pass me up right now. So I have absolutely loved working for the town, and Jeanette was one. I called her the other day to tell her the news, and Jeanette was one that was very proactive in getting me down to work down here. So she and Tim were like my two biggest advocates, and I really appreciate you guys being.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
More than you'll know.
So I don't know, it's been fun kind of looking at all the projects that we've worked on over the last, I've been here for 7 years now.
I was gonna ask you, how long has it been?
Yeah,
7 years?
Yeah. Scott Slade called today because he's gonna do an article, which that was so sweet of him. He's like, we gotta do something. And I was just like reviewing what we've done, and I'm like, we have done a ton. I'm really proud of that. So, and I appreciate the leadership giving me kind of free rein to do projects, and
I think that sign's gonna blow.
I know.
I
You were
think so
watching
too.
that thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, Rachel.
no, you're fine. We were watching it earlier when we first started, and the tuxedo shop one has already come down.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I've had a blast and have worked on more things than I can.
Well, when you think back 7 years ago in this town, I can't even really remember. You know?
I said at the last plan commission meeting, we didn't even have monthly plan commission meetings.
No.
We didn't have enough business
There wasn't anything I mean, we'd go months
Yeah.
without anything.
And now if we don't have plan commission, it's like, what?
Yeah,
It's like unheard of.
yeah.
So it's a different
Just
world.
kind of
and-
sitting and waiting
yeah.
for something to happen.
And I'm hoping I had a little piece in moving that
Yes.
forward.
Oh, you did.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
Okay, so keep that in mind as we're going over stuff tonight.
So is this, I know it's the 2020 application, when do you start actually doing the application? I mean, what's the timing?
Applications, we need to work on projects all through the year.
Mm-hmm.
So to become a Tree City USA, you have to have an Arbor Day proclamation. You have to spend, your community has to spend at least $2 per capita on tree-related projects, which, sometimes that makes people nervous, but we do a lot of just regular tree maintenance in the year, and that all counts towards tree projects. So it's not going out and planting, $8,000 worth of trees. There's removals that happen, there's pruning that happens. Our electric company does a lot of tree trimming and tree pruning that can count towards this number. So that's one you don't have to be worried about for the application.
But do they keep track, of their hours then, and knowing that they need to keep track of them, or?
If necessary, they can estimate that stuff out.
Yeah.
So what I've done in the past is I usually pull receipts from the clerk treasurer's office on tree removals that we've done, and I just add up all of those, and typically those cover it.
Cover everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because removing a large tree can
yeah.
sometimes cost $2,000.
Yeah.
So you need 4 of those, and we automatically
Yeah.
have the $2 per capita. So let's see, we have to have an urban forestry committee, we have to have a tree ordinance. spend $2 per capita, and have a Arbor Day proclamation. So that's one of the things I'll talk about later on tonight, is just trying to get a committee formed to do that Arbor Day proclamation. Sometimes we in the past have done very small celebrations where we go out and plant a tree, but at a minimum this year, the minimum thing that we do is just put together a proclamation and have Chet sign it. We meet the standards, so it's really as much or as little as we need it to be. But this past year, we had a very high amount on the expenditures that we had related to trees, and a lot of that was because we spent money on the. I need to take my mask off. I cannot breathe tonight. I'm talking so much. I feel like I'm just sucking my own air back in. We had about $75,000 that we spent towards tree projects that put us up about $17 per capita, which was really an extremely high amount for us. I don't think we've ever had it that high since 2015. So that was kind of exciting. But again, that was because we did a full tree inventory update, that we had grant money from DNR that helped us pay for this. We did the tree planting project where we did the 314 trees. The
So
tree planting.
it doesn't have to be if we get grant money, that still is money that's being spent that can count then, okay? So it doesn't have to come out of the budget.
No. And then we can also count volunteer time towards that. So if we do have some type of a project where, we have people come out and plant saplings, if we keep track of how many volunteers, we can say approximately how many hours they were out there, they have a formula that calculates that per hour contribution and puts a dollar amount to it.
We did that, didn't we, in October when everybody had to, or was supposed to?
Right.
Right.
So I had 935 hours from that project on volunteer time, so that added a lot to our per capita, which was great, because I think we had over 150 volunteers, and we basically had an 8-hour day, I think, per person, or, depending on what it was, but it was quite a bit. It's the most I've seen since I've been here. We also have to report the number of trees we've planted, the number of trees removed, and that's, if you plant 0 trees per year, it doesn't count anything against you. They just like to keep track of what progress has been done in your community. So that's kind of where we fell for the end of the year. I had submitted that on December 17th and just found out maybe on Wednesday that we had gotten it. So the next step with that is the state forester, Carrie, or the urban forester, Carrie Tauscher. She'll be sending a box of goodies to us that has a new Tree City USA flag. Usually there's like stickers that get,
Come in.
I know, wow. Sometimes, once you reach a certain milestone, they'll send you a plaque or a whatever. So Kayla will be keeping an eye out on that for sure.
We've got more places now that we can fly the flag
Yes.
than we did, well, last year didn't really count, but
Right.
before that. Because it's kind of fun to put the flag up for a while, in the park or wherever. And
Yeah. And the park's been great. They usually put the flag in that main pole that's in the park.
Right.
That's nice.
So are all the trees that they're taking down right now and cleaning out, are those being counted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Aaron Burris, we have a tree inventory,
Mhm.
and Aaron Burris has access to that inventory. So he's
Okay.
able to go in and say which ones have been removed, and then at the end of the year, we can tally that up and see how many
Yeah.
were removed from the inventory.
Cleaning up a lot of it.
Now, the Tree City USA application was accepted, and then there is also what's called a growth award, which all my tree board members that have been around for a while know that the growth award always creeps me out a little, because it just sounds gross. So it always makes me giggle. But this is to show that you've kind of gone above and beyond like the normal standards for a community, and you've done extra work. So we've gotten the growth award, I think, since 2015 as well. because we've done special projects in the community. So this past year, we applied for, we did a management inventory, we had a management inventory system, which means we purchased and installed a computerized system for tracking the municipal tree inventory, which that was we did the tree inventory, and then we purchased a software program called Tree Keeper, and that is kind of that mapping system that shows everything, you know, where these trees are located, and you click on the dot and it tells you what tree it is, how old it is, what condition it is. So that we got points for purchasing that, which we got it because of a grant, which was great. And then we also got it for doing a tree inventory. So we updated our public tree inventory this past year. We had done one in 2016, and we had kept it up to date up until the day before the tornado. And then once the tornado happened, that was kind of trashed, and we thought we really need to redo it. So that's where we applied for grant funding. We were awarded it, had Davy Tree Service come back out and re-inventoried our whole community again. So our tree inventory is up to date again.
Is it, online yet to where people can?
I don't have, so we have a public version of it,
Right.
and then the in-office version of it, and I don't have the public version up, so I will put that on my list of things to do before I leave.
You poor thing.
So where did you get the grant?
The grant came from the Indiana DNR, the Community and Urban Forestry division of DNR. They do grants that they put out every year, as long as they get their federal funding, because it's a pass-through grant. So Carrie, that we've worked with in the past, she's the main contact, and when those applications are available, she'll email the communities
Yeah,
in Indiana.
and she knows that she has a new contact and.
Yes,
information.
yeah, I actually have a Zoom meeting with her set
Yeah.
up for tomorrow,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
we'll be transitioning that, so she knows who to get in touch with. But yeah, and we've gotten at least 2 grants, I think, since 2015 from DNR,
Yeah.
and they've been great to work with. And Carrie's a rock star, so.
Does that kind of lead into the 2021 Tree City USA goals then?
Yes. So if, this is something that I guess can do some homework for our board, is maybe looking at what we could do for projects this year to earn our growth award. They've somewhat changed the different categories from years before, so they award points for, what is it, these 5 categories now. So if you go to I'll kind of pull it up right now. If you go to the website for the Arbor Day Foundation, and go to the Growth Award, you can see these are the categories, and you can read through them and kind of see what projects that they would award points for. So as you guys have time this next month or so, if you can go to this website and start looking, you can email out the link to you guys. I'll put that on my list for tomorrow too. And kind of take a look and see what projects you guys might want to work on. Some of them are really easy things. You know, sometimes we already had plans to do work, like last year we already knew we were going to do the tree inventory update and then get the software program, and so it was a no-brainer just to apply for those points. But if if there's something that you guys feel passionate about, like if we pick up the memorial tree program and help the park revamp that can fit in here somewhere where we can earn points for it. So
Do they have anything in there, well, 2 questions. First question is, do they have anything in there, I can't read it right now, but do they have anything in there about, I've always wondered, this goes back to my days in grade school and junior high when we had to do, leaf projects.
I loved leaf projects.
I did too, I loved it too. Anyway, I still love it. Anyway, I would love to have, to have a tree identification, not like who's it donated to, but what kind of tree it is, and just a little information about it. I know you couldn't do that with every tree everywhere, because it would involve some signage and everything, but, I think that would,
Along like along sidewalks that are pretty popular sidewalks,
Yeah.
you know, and then there's a tree. and-
yeah, and you
An
know,
identification walk or something.
yeah, you could do all kinds of really cool stuff. And I think kids and their parents would love it, and I think teachers would love it too. I mean, that would give them another excuse to take the kids out of, class and go outside and do things, and not to mention the fact that it would be a learning, thing, and it'd be enjoyable, I think, for everybody. And like Carol said, have it, besides down at the park, have it along popular walking trails or whatever, and I just think it would be a really cool project. Now, it would cost some money, but maybe we could get some grant money for that. DNR's always been terrific, and I just think it would be a fun project, and it would also be a learning project too for everybody. And I don't know, like I said, I'm like Carol, you probably liked it too.
Yeah, I did.
And I can't remember what grade we were in, but,
Pressing them in the books.
yeah, pressing, or ironing them between two pieces of wax paper, But I still remember some of the scientific names of trees, and that kind of stuff, and
And Jeanette, I think you can do it in a way that wouldn't be expensive, because there are some programs, we wouldn't even have, depending on cost or what the board wanted to do, you could do it digitally, so that someone
Yeah.
can pull it up online. It would just be like a walking trail, and there's a program you can use to just map out your trail, and then,
you'd have maybe a sign for what type of tree it is, and then,
but then on your phone,
Yeah,
you
you
can
could
say
look
this
at-
is a
kinda like our historic
Yes.
trail that we, yeah.
Exactly. And then if you wanted to put a little booklet together or whatever,
Yeah.
you could do that too.
I think that would be a great project, and might take longer than,
Mhm.
for this year, but I still think it would be something you could build on too. I mean, you could do as many as you could in one year, and then the next year you could do more.
Right.
So that's one thing I have been thinking about. I know last month when you said, here's some homework, think about some things you wanna do. The other thing that I would like to do, but I realize there's a lot of guidelines and ordinances and all that kind of stuff that you have to go along with, but I would like to see more trees, number one, in the proper places in the cemetery. I know there's restrictions on where everything's planted, and the same way with, going out of town, more so probably going west than east, because we're kinda limited going east, but, I would just like to see more trees planted, and again, I realize that would have to be a joint effort from a lot of different, people here in town, the right of ways, the gas lines, safety issues, and all that stuff. But I think as we go out towards the interstate, and even maybe a little farther west from the interstate, I'd just like to see some more trees planted in the right places. But that would be a project that would take a lot of coordination with a lot of people, but it still could be done. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about.
Yeah, that's good stuff. One thing that would help with more trees being planted in Pendleton is we are, of course, updating the Unified Development Ordinance, and there is a landscaping piece. Our current landscaping ordinance, we could improve on it. that's what we've been trying to do with the update. So we did a deep dive in it where DNR even reviewed it for us, which is awesome. Taylor helped review it for me too. So I think it's gonna be a much more thorough and appropriate landscaping ordinance based on what I feel like our community wants to see. So that will help with this tree stuff that we're talking about on private stuff, on private property. And then on subdivisions, we're making sure that, like right now, our subdivision ordinance for street trees isn't very clear, and we always encourage it. Like Kayla and I will say, we need street trees, but we don't really have any guidelines or standards for it. And if the developer wanted to say no, we really wouldn't be able to push it at this time. So we're trying to fix that problem with the ordinance update too. So there's a couple things that we're doing that will help support the activities of this board, just on the planning side too.
On these new developments that are happening out off 132 and Pelton Avenue, will they have a homeowners association?
Yes.
They all, both of them will. So whose guidelines do the homeowners association look towards the town for their, or do
No.
they?
They have their own set of guidelines and documents that they put together for their subdivision, and the town does not regulate them or give them suggestions on it necessarily. So, you know, going through the rezone process, there are some commitments that the plan commission asks of the developer that may get pushed off into those HOA agreements. But again, the town isn't responsible for enforcing those, the HOA is. In terms of tree plantings in public areas of a subdivision, like the street trees, that all gets hashed out at the planning department. So the homeowners association doesn't have anything to do with that necessarily, but if we do get to a point where those street trees go in and they don't live, like in that first year or whatever, we have maintenance and performance bonds that I believe cover if the landscaping doesn't live, like in those areas, that we can go back and fix it. But beyond that, they do become property of the town when that transition happens, where the road is then dedicated over to the town, and it's for us to take care of. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
and it's nice to know that it's all going to be tracked now. That's gonna make the job a lot easier, no matter what the job is.
But now the like landscaping for particular homes, you know, they'll sell those as packages with the home, so it can get upgraded in certain, you know, a homeowner can choose to upgrade their landscaping plan. We'll have minimums set in place that, you know, we need a minimum amount of landscaping for a new lot, but, you know, we'll regulate it minimally, I guess.
So anything above the minimum requirement will be an upgrade to the home.
Alright. So, as you're looking through these, think about projects, kind of like Jeanette was going over some of her ideas, and if you have anything that you're particularly passionate about, that when you're reading through this, you think, oh, this would fit perfectly with this category. I think we need a minimum of 10 points to get the growth award. And each one tells you how many points, you know, per topic or per item it is, and so anyway, that will be something you guys get to work through. Let's see, let's get back to my. Alright, so I'll send an email out that has links to that website that shows, you know, what the different categories are, and then come to whenever our next meeting will be, bring your ideas there. I will give you guys an update now on the grant that we did get from DNR. I did say I have a Zoom meeting set up with Carrie and Tammy Coleman from DNR tomorrow. They had sent me an email, you know, asking that we kind of need to work through some of these things before I leave, which I completely agree. We had a total grant award of $40,000, which 20 of it came from DNR, 10 of it came we matched it with money from the community foundation, the park pitched in $5,000 and the town pitched in $5,000. Our tree inventory total cost was $18,904, which leaves us $21,000 to go. So we can do a couple of tree planting projects with that money. And what I'm doing is I kind of had some ideas in my head on where these trees need to go. One is on Heritage Way, where the Wellness Center is now located. When we did the roundabout project at Heritage and State Street, we removed all of the redbud trees that were in the median, which I know is kind of heartbreaking, but it was really a terrible maintenance issue for our street department because the way that the redbuds were planted, they couldn't get in with a mower. It all had to be done by a push mower, and that takes up a lot of time for the street department to get in there and just do regular maintenance on it. So what we thought was, at the time that Heritage Way was getting torn up and reconstructed, that we would take the trees out at that time because it kind of went along with the project. But then the plan is to go back and replant some larger canopy type trees to go in that median. It's a huge median. We could have planted better trees than redbuds because those stay small, even though they're lovely in the spring. It would really be we'd get better benefits from a larger tree for that area. Then we can space them more properly so that a mower can actually get in and mow around them rather than a riding mower can get in and mow around them rather than a push mower.
So you want one that doesn't get gigantic and have this big outgrowth, but you want one that'll grow and be pretty and
Less shrub-like and more canopy tree-like.
right, and easy to mow around.
And easy to mow around. So it'll solve some problems. So that's getting left on my transition list for them to work on. So some of that money will go towards that project. We do have some trees that were planted prior to the tornado. Jeanette, you'll remember, we did the project where we sent out letters and people were able to match or pay for a street tree.
Right.
The town agreed to plant the tree if they bought the tree, and then if they had a year warranty on it. So if they died, we said we'd come back and replant them. Well, some of the trees got hit by the tornado in that year, of course, and some of them did just die. So we're going to honor our promise to them and make sure that those trees are replanted.
Do we know how many?
I've got 1, 2, 3, at least 4 of them. So not a ton. And then I've got a couple other requests over on Main Street. I've had a couple people say, can we get some trees planted over here? So I put them on the list too. So it's not a ton, but the big bang project will be Heritage Way.
Mm-hmm. That'll look good though.
Yeah, it's needed. And our community is very invested in the wellness center, or our town government is very invested in that wellness center, and we need to do all the things we can to help make that thrive over there. So I think, making a grand entrance down Heritage Way would be helpful. We're looking at redoing some signage for the business park too, because we took that signage out when we did all the construction
Right.
over there as well.
Give it a nice boulevard effect.
Exactly. So that's kind of where we're at on the DNR grant. Ooh. Okay. Unless you guys have any questions about that, I can move on to committees. And 2 of these are just suggestions. Of course, if the board wants to do something else with it, you guys absolutely can. But one of them that I think we might need is an Arbor Day committee, especially since we'll be having some of these staff transitions coming up. I don't think that on our staff end that we'll be able to devote the time to organizing an Arbor Day this year. So if a committee member could step up, if that is a priority, that we do something like that.
That's towards the end of April, isn't it?
It is usually the end of April.
Like the 20th.
Yes. We can pick whatever day we want to do an Arbor Day proclamation, so we could do it in the fall if we want to.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really up to the board. I think our official Arbor Day this year was the day we did the tree planting project, so October 24th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very flexible on whatever day we would want to do it. So keep that in mind, but, in the past, we've done tree plantings on school property
Right.
usually, or the golf course. We did the golf course and we did the park one year. And usually we get a tree donated, from Bluegrass Farms, or we just we just purchase a tree. So again, it doesn't have to be anything over the top. It can be very simple. It's what you make it. So at a minimum, we just need the proclamation signed.
Good.
The other thing that this board has kind of talked about in the past is the memorial tree program. The park has a memorial tree program, and Denise, can you talk a little bit more about what's in place right now with the memorial tree program?
Yeah, sure. The Memorial Tree Program is where families, loved ones, friends, anyone can come forward and fill out an application with the park. That application will give information as far as the member, the loved one that they want to donate the tree on behalf, just their contact information, and then they would ask for 3 species of their top choice, as well as their top 3 choices for location of the tree within the park. And of course, then the park director and director of maintenance, Aaron and Donnie, would have discretion, and they would explain it to them that they have that discretion to decide if that would be a good place for that particular species, or if that species would be appropriate, for the park, but they try to honor that as close as possible. The application, the way as far as the cost would go is once that tree type is determined, and right now they are a little bit behind because of the tornado, then we lost a lot of trees in the tornado as well that they're trying to replace as well as time goes on. But then we ended up getting the pandemic this last year, so they weren't able to plant any trees last spring. So a lot of those spring 2020 trees that were intended to be planted got bumped up to some of them in the fall, but then even some of them got pushed back to the spring because they wanted a spring tree. So they've got a little bit of a backlog right now. I think when I updated the list, there's about 42 trees.
Oh, wow.
There's about 18 trees for replacement still for the lost trees of the tornado, and 23 new applicants for those that some of them have already paid and kind of on the waiting list of when they can get them planted, and then some of them have just kind of initially reached out and expressed interest and probably will be on the fall of 2021. What they ask is that once that tree species is determined, then they will cover the cost of the wholesale. They likewise got through Bluegrass Farms. They're great to work with. And most of the trees would cost about $139, with some of the caliber of the tree or the dimension of the trunk of the tree, to usually most of them about $169. But they would give the park wholesale price. The park would then just charge the donor that exact amount, no tax or fee included, but then they would add an additional $25, and that $25 is to cover the pickup, delivery, staff to plant the tree, the mulch, and then also the sign for the tree, which they go through signage to get those signs. And then they would put them on the list, and we would let them know that when that is going to be planted. They would, sometimes some of them would pay right away, some of them would pay more. So any money that goes above and beyond the cost then goes right into the Memorial Tree Fund. And so then if there are trees that are lost or damaged that need to be replaced, they have that fund to tap into. So, so it is, it is a great thing that when families or groups come in and they pay more than the cost, but that's kind of about it. It's really a great thing to see them come back and participate in the planting. So it's been nice to have like that community day and then the recovery tree day, because those families were able to come and just to see the grandchildren or whoever, be able to help plant that tree. It's a great experience, and it was always one of my favorite programs of the park. So.
And so kind of in the past, we've talked about expanding on that a little bit. You know, we have other areas in town that need trees that maybe community members feel passionate about planting one there for a family member, like maybe in the cemetery or, you know, I don't know, you know, maybe some,
Golf course.
anything, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
we do have some opportunities to expand the program, I guess, if that's what we choose to do.
Yeah.
We've also talked about, you know, is the signage, hanging a sign on the tree, what we wanna continue doing, cause sometimes the signs get stolen or damaged, or just they're old and they crack and they break. You know, we did some research in the past about, you know, do we do, I don't know, there's just all kinds of things we could do with that. So sometimes people put a sculpture up and instead of it being the tree that gets memorialized with a sign or whatever, then you put it engraved on a centralized plaque instead. So, you know, and then you say this tree is whoever's tree it is, you know, and it may not be marked directly with a sign, you know. So, I don't know, there's all kinds of different things that we can do with it. We've talked about digitizing some stuff where you can go online and look at an inventory and click on a tree to see whose tree it is, and then maybe give people the opportunity to tell the story of why that was their tree. You know, if there's a loved one that you just want to say, kind of tell their story a little bit too. So, you know, it really, again, can go in whatever direction this board would like to take it. You know, so we could have a committee to help out with that program too. And I think this is a topic that does tie back into that growth award section that we could earn points for.
Yeah, and those that the families or friends have donated these trees on behalf, they're just so deeply rooted with Pendleton. And I mean, whether it's the park or just where they grew up, and, you know, that location of that tree is just as important as the species, and just for that family to be able to come back. And I love that whole idea of the digital piece and being able to share a picture or even a story of that loved one. And I think that this
That would
group
be
being a
one-
part of that
yeah.
process, I think the sky's the limit. I think it could be
Oh, yeah.
so well improved. And it's just, the park is a small, you know, crew, and I think that they would appreciate the help too.
Yeah.
To,
I think about people who, you know, live far, far away, but, you know,
yeah, oh, people come back and,
or to be able to pull it up and
yeah.
look
Yeah,
at it.
true. Mm-hmm, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I guess with the committees, think about if you're interested in leading a committee, and even if there's something else that you're passionate about with trees, maybe you're like, I just love to prune trees, maybe we have a pruning committee, you know, I don't know what it is, but, you know, whatever maybe you feel passionate about, if there's a little extra time that you can spend besides coming to meetings, to do a little extra work, for urban forestry in Pendleton, that would just help the program do more.
Now, I have a question on that committee. So, like, say if one of the board members led that committee, can they recruit others outside of the board to then form that committee? And, because I think there'd be a lot of people real interested in
I would say
being in
yes.
that. Okay, I didn't know how to, okay.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to
Awesome.
we'd have to work with the park too,
Mhm.
quite a bit, because I would think that most of the memorial trees probably would people would want in the park, certain places, but I think it's all doable, and, it's just a matter of getting
Time.
organized
Yeah.
and time to do it, and
Right. Yeah, I mean, just for the Arbor Day thing, you know, if someone wanted to pick that up, even if you grabbed someone that was part of the school to be part of it on your committee, and, you know, you can just organize something simple, and, you know, or the memorial tree program, maybe there's some friends of the park that would wanna work on
Right.
this in particular, that, you know,
Right.
in my mind, a committee like this would be very similar to us doing our steering committee for plan commission, where we have extra people that are helping out with a particular project, you know, but then there's someone who reports back to the board, you know, on what's going on, so.
Great.
interested in being on the urban forestry committee in the
Right.
future. So anyway, so you guys got a little bit of homework to work on. I know I probably said that you had homework to work on last meeting, but we didn't formally have a quorum. I feel like we got a good group tonight, so I wanted to just kind of go over everything to make sure we were a little bit more on the same page. So that's all I've got tonight, unless there's anything else that you guys would like to discuss.
You know, one thing, I mean, I don't remember, I thought as, the bicentennial, I know that they were gonna have a day, and I think it's set for the 17th of April. I just was a thought that, you know, if there was a tree that could even be planted to kind of fulfill two needs, cause I don't know
I
how
don't know.
big they could do anything right
Yeah,
now, so
I
they
don't,
were.
I'm on that committee that got busted last year. I mean, you know, with the COVID, it was just, and so now I think the only people that are on it are Amy Turner and myself, so I don't even know. I don't know. You heard something about April 17th?
Well, I know that, Amy Turner, I think, had reached out to Scott about just kind of getting, there was gonna be some discussions on, you know, may not be able to do anything big, but could we do something, or should we just kind of just make it a virtually, you know, today's Pendleton Day?
Yeah.
And that fell on the 18th, I think. The 17th was when the Friends of Falls Park was
Right.
going to do
Right.
like a little project in the park.
Right.
But maybe, I don't know, it may be too close in time to try to plan something by the 17th, but just thinking of something to suffice the group's needs here and
I'll
hold
touch
that.
bases
I
with
don't know.
Amy, yeah.
Yeah, might
I'll
not,
talk to her about
didn't think it'd be anything big, but maybe just plant
Yeah.
one tree or something in honor of, I don't know if that would work or not.
Call it
just an
Pendleton
idea.
Day and say it's a proclamation for our, we do,
Yeah,
yeah.
together,
just a
yeah.
joint- I mean, just like we did the Recovery Tree Project and
Mhm.
called it our Pendleton Arbor Day too, and our proclamation.
They've got a nice area down the cemetery where they have, they moved Thomas Pendleton's grave down to the cemetery, and it was up in somebody's yard on Broadway. His grave was, but that's another story, but,
Wow.
yeah.
It wasn't my house, was
No.
it? Like that would be
No,
so
it was
creepy.
farther up.
I feel like that would
Yeah.
summon some spirits or
Yeah.
something.
Anyway, have you heard any weird?
No,
Okay. all
nothing,
right,
thank
good, all right.
goodness.
And then they have, it's tombstones of, people who were lost in, you know, World War II, I believe. And if there was room down there, close to Thomas Pendleton, I think it'd be kinda cool to put a tree down there, but I'm thinking it's kind of, I don't think there's a whole lot of room, but we could look and just see if there would be room down there to maybe have a little plaque or something. And
I wonder if by the log cabin, are they getting close to having that kind of if they're gonna have some kind of a grand opening or something for that?
yeah, that's gonna be,
There might be a
in
place.
May.
To plant the tree.
May, sometime in the middle of May is when Sandy wants to have kind of the, you know, dedication
Or whatever.
and everything, so,
We could plant a tree somewhere around.
yeah, somewhere in that area. I know she's talked to the
I know
garden
they
club a
cleaned-
little bit
Yeah,
about-
they've cleaned all that
Yeah.
pond up.
that looks so nice.
Oh my gosh, you can tell there's a pond there.
And that back porch there,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
what a
there's
great
probably-
place to,
Probably be nice to put a tree somewhere.
yeah, that would be a good place
Yeah.
too. I'm not sure what Sandy has in mind for the dedication, but
That would be great.
That would be.
that would
Yeah,
be
I
good.
think they're awesome things like that.
But I think that's the middle of May, I'm pretty sure.
That might be more doable than
Mhm.
middle
Right.
of April.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very good. Good ideas. Alright.
Well, is there any other comments or business?
Anyone online have anything?
No,
No, okay. I will adjourn the meeting, and so, we think we'll have an April one, or you think
tentatively April. Keep an eye out for an email from Denise.
Yeah. Cause I think I'd like to try to get some of these committees formed, so even if we don't have anyone from the town available,
Okay,
maybe we could go ahead and have a meeting.
all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can make
Is
it
that-
happen.
Would that be okay?
Yeah. We'll make Scott come if Kayla can't.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alright,
So that-
perfect. Hey, you know what, we are gonna make people come, because do you know how many meetings I had to go to during interim before COVID happened, so you know what? We can do this.
That's right. They owe you, that is true.
That's right, I'll be like, this is my baby, this is my tree board.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Alright, well, sounds good, we'll make sure we get that.
Yeah, maybe kind of like a planning, kind of session or something. Yeah.
Alright, well, thanks everyone that came in online too.
Yep, thank you, and all the best to you, Rachel.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Yep, good luck to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Carrie.
It's sad that you're leaving.
I'm not moving though, I'm still.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was hoping not.
Yeah, so. Alright, see you guys later.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, over there, sorry.